Cheers to confusion, mixing up monarchs and cocktails. When you hear Bloody Mary, you probably think of a cocktail, not a queen. Picture a tall glass, spicy tomato juice and a celery stalk, maybe a shrimp garnish. That classic cocktail is pretty darn good. But today we're unraveling the story of the real Bloody Mary, Queen Mary I of England. Buckle up, this isn't your average history lesson. Dive into royal intrigue, religious turmoil, and some laughs. History doesn't have to be dry and dusty. Put on your crown, grab a drink, and meet the Queen. Just don't start any Tudor-era bar fights. A toast to Mary, unveiling the Queen behind the nickname. Born in 1516, Mary Tudor's life was far from a fairy tale. Daughter of the infamous King Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, Mary had a front-row seat to the tumultuous world of Tudor politics. Imagine growing up in a family where your dad decides to create his own church just to get a divorce. Talk about awkward family dinners. Despite the drama, Mary was a woman of fierce intelligence and unwavering faith. She clung to her Catholic beliefs even as her father, Henry VIII, dragged England kicking and screaming into the Protestant Reformation. This clash of faith would become a defining theme of Mary's life and ultimately earn her that infamous nickname, Bloody Mary. But before we get to the bloody part, let's remember that Mary was much more than just a nickname. She was a woman who fought for her birthright, navigated treacherous political waters, and ultimately became the first Queen Regnant of England. The Tudor cocktail ingredients for a reign. So, what goes into making a reign as infamous as Bloody Mary's? Well, picture this. A dash of religious fervour, a heaping spoonful of family drama, and a generous sprinkle of political intrigue, all served up in the grand banquet hall of Tudor England. Mary's story is a potent mix of personal struggles and political manoeuvring. She faced down rebellions, navigated complex international relations, and dealt with constant threats to her throne. Imagine trying to rule a country while your younger half-sister, the future Queen Elizabeth I, is giving you the side-eye from across the room. But Mary's reign wasn't all doom and gloom. She was a patron of the arts, a devout Catholic, and a woman determined to leave her mark on history. So as we delve into the specifics of her reign, remember to look beyond the label history has given her. A princess scorned Mary's early life and the drama of legitimacy. Picture this. It's the 16th century and you're Mary, daughter of Henry VIII. Sounds glamorous, right? Well, hold your horses. Mary's childhood was as stable as a unicycle on a cobblestone street. From day one, Mary was a pawn in her father's pursuit of a male heir. Henry was desperate for a son to secure the Tudor dynasty. The problem? His wife, Catherine of Aragon, wasn't producing a male heir. As Henry's quest for a son intensified, Mary's world was turned upside down. Declared illegitimate and separated from her mother, she went from princess to afterthought. Imagine going from having your own swan to sharing a chamber pot with the court jester. It was a tough break, to say the least. Now, enter stage left, Anne Boleyn, Henry's new wife and Mary's soon-to-be stepmother. Let's just say their relationship wasn't exactly sunshine and roses. Picture a high-stakes Game of Thrones, but instead of dragons, they're fighting over who gets to wear the fanciest tiara. Anne, understandably keen on securing her own daughter's, the future Queen Elizabeth I, position, wasn't exactly Mary's biggest fan. Add to that the whole religious tension, Anne being Protestant and Mary being staunchly Catholic. And you've got a recipe for some serious family dysfunction. Through all the political maneuvering and religious upheaval, Mary clung to her Catholic faith and her claim to the throne. She endured being declared illegitimate, separated from her mother, and treated as persona non grata in her own father's court. Talk about a crash course in resilience. Mary's teenage years were a non-stop roller coaster of political intrigue and religious turmoil. Henry VIII, never one to shy away from a good power move, continued to shake up the English church, much to Mary's dismay. He even went so far as to demand that Mary acknowledge him as the supreme head of the Church of England and denounce Catholicism. Talk about a father-daughter bonding moment. Faced with immense pressure and the very real threat of imprisonment, Mary refused to betray her beliefs. She stood defiant, a lone voice of Catholic resistance in a court rapidly embracing Protestantism. It was a risky move, but Mary, ever stubborn and devout, refused to back down. This act of defiance cemented Mary's image as a woman of unwavering faith and steely determination. It also set the stage for her tumultuous reign, where her commitment to Catholicism would have far-reaching and, yes, bloody consequences. Buckle up, folks. Things are about to get real. The year is 1553. King Edward VI, Henry VIII's son, and Mary's younger half-brother, kicks the royal bucket. Awkward. Edward, a fervent Protestant, had tried to further cement the Church of England's dominance. He even tried to write Mary out of the line of succession. Cold move, Eddie, cold move. However, Mary was not about to let her little brother's ghost dictate her destiny. With the support of some loyal allies and a healthy dose of "I told you so," she rallied her troops, not literally, this isn't Game of Thrones, and claimed her rightful place on the throne. Her ascension wasn't exactly a walk in the park. There were rebellions to quell, rivals to outmaneuver, and a whole lot of political maneuvering. Governing is never easy, especially when you've got centuries of religious turmoil bubbling under the surface. Mary had her work cut out for her. But hey, at least she had a crown to go with those responsibilities. Section 2. Reign of Fire Sparking the Reformation in Reverse. Let's talk religion, the ultimate game-changer in Tudor England. Mary, a devout Catholic, aimed to drag England back to the Catholic Church. It was messy, chaotic, and involved a lot of resistance. She reinstated Catholic rituals and appointed bishops. Most controversially, she revived the heresy laws. This was her attempt to reset her father's and brother's reforms. It was as subtle as a Gregorian chant in a heavy metal concert. Her dramatic U-turn didn't win her any popularity contests. Protestants weren't thrilled about the sudden return to Catholicism. But Mary pressed on, determined to restore the one true faith. Section 3, Bloody Mary Brood, the Persecutions and Their Justifications. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the pyre in the public square, the infamous Marian persecutions. Yes, it's true, during Mary's reign, hundreds of Protestants were burned at the stake for refusing to renounce their faith. It's a dark chapter in English history, and one that earned Mary the rather unflattering nickname Bloody Mary. It's easy to look back from our modern perspective and judge Mary harshly for these actions. But to understand her motivations, we need to step back into the 16th century, a time when religious dissent wasn't just a difference of opinion, it was a threat to the very fabric of society. Mary saw herself as a warrior queen, defending the true faith against heretical teachings that threatened to tear England apart. Her actions, however brutal they seem today, were driven by a deep-seated belief that she was saving souls and securing her kingdom. Section 4. Beyond the Pyre. A more nuanced look at Mary's reign. While the religious persecutions are undeniably a significant part of Mary's legacy, it's crucial to remember that her reign wasn't just a 5-year bonfire. She also implemented significant economic reforms, strengthened the navy, and navigated complex international relations. She faced constant threats from France and Spain, dealt with rebellions at home, and struggled to secure the Tudor dynasty. Imagine juggling a crown, a scepter, and a burning torch of religious fervour. It's no wonder Mary always looked a little stressed in her portraits. So, was Mary a bloodthirsty tyrant or a misunderstood monarch? The answer, as with most things in history, is more complicated than a simple label. She was a product of her time, a woman of deep faith who found herself caught in the crossfire of religious upheaval. Nicknames. Some are endearing, some are embarrassing, and some, like Bloody Mary, are downright difficult to shake off. It's like that time you accidentally set off the fire alarm at school. You might live it down eventually, but the memory, and the nickname Smokey, lingers. Poor Mary, forever linked to that gruesome moniker. But why Bloody Mary? Well, the answer is about as subtle as a trumpet fanfare. The Protestant martyrs burned during her reign became powerful symbols of religious persecution. Their stories, spread by Protestant reformers, painted Mary as a cruel and tyrannical figure, a stark contrast to her Protestant successor, the Virgin Queen Elizabeth I. Talk about bad PR. It's worth noting that Mary wasn't the only monarch to engage in religious persecution. Her father, Henry VIII, executed plenty of folks who disagreed with his religious views. But for some reason, Bloody Henry never quite caught on. Maybe it just doesn't roll off the tongue as easily. History, as we know, is written by the victors. And in Mary's case, the victors were the Protestants who ultimately shaped England's religious landscape. As a result, her reign has often been viewed through a rather unforgiving lens, her accomplishments overshadowed by the spectre of the stake. But is it fair to single out Mary as uniquely bloody when violence and persecution were pretty standard fare in the 16th century? Her cousin, Mary Queen of Scots, wasn't exactly known for her pacifism either. And let's not even get started on the St. Bartholomew's Day massacre in France. The point is, judging historical figures by modern standards is a bit like trying to teach a parrot to sing opera. It's probably not going to end well. To understand Mary, we need to see her within the context of her time, a time when religious fervour ran high and monarchs wielded absolute power. So, if we can peel back the Bloody Mary label for a moment, what else do we see? A queen who fought tooth and nail to claim her rightful place on the throne. Declared illegitimate and written out of the line of succession, Mary overcame serious obstacles to wear that crown. She reformed the currency, expanded the navy, and tried to strengthen the monarchy. Imagine tidying up after rambunctious toddlers. That was Mary's job. She didn't always make popular decisions, and her methods were heavy-handed. But she ruled in a time of great upheaval. And hey, at least she didn't start a war with Spain over a broken engagement. So as we raise a glass, of something a bit stronger than tomato juice perhaps, to the memory of Queen Mary I, let's try to see beyond the flames and the fear. Let's remember her as a complex and often contradictory figure. A devout Catholic, a determined queen, and a woman who, despite her best efforts, ended up with a nickname that just won't quit. Mary's story is a reminder that history is rarely black and white. It's a tapestry woven from countless threads of ambition, faith, love, and yes, even a healthy dose of human error. So the next time you hear someone order a Bloody Mary, take a moment to remember the Queen, not just the cocktail. And who knows, maybe you'll even find yourself raising a toast to the woman who, despite her flaws, left an indelible mark on English history. Cheers to you, Mary! So, there you have it. The tale of Mary Thirst, a queen whose life was about as straightforward as a Shakespearean tragedy, but with fewer laughs. We've journeyed from her tumultuous childhood, where Daddy Dearest kept swapping wives like they were limited edition tapestries, to her fiery reign, where she decided to give England a crash course in Catholicism, much to everyone's chagrin. And let's not forget the nickname, that unfortunate moniker that's followed her through the centuries like a bad smell. Bloody Mary. It's enough to make even the most iron-willed monarch reach for the mead. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? A queen known for her fiery personality and even fierier religious zeal, ultimately reduced to a cocktail ingredient. Talk about adding insult to injury. One minute you're the most powerful person in England, the next you're the namesake of a drink people order at brunch. But hey, at least it's a tasty drink, right? But seriously, folks, let's give Mary her due. She wasn't just a religious fanatic with a penchant for pyrotechnics. She was a woman who navigated the treacherous waters of Tudor politics, overcame countless obstacles to claim her birthright, and ruled England during a time of immense religious and political upheaval. Sure, she made mistakes. Some pretty big ones, to be honest. But who hasn't? Remember that time you accidentally hit reply all to that embarrassing email? Or that unfortunate haircut you thought looked good at the time? We all have our moments. The point is, Mary was human. Flawed, yes, but human nonetheless. She had her good qualities, her bad qualities, and her downright confusing qualities. Seriously, that whole marrying your cousin thing, not cool, Mary. So the next time you find yourself face to face with a Bloody Mary, the drink, not the ghost, although that would be a story, take a moment to remember the Queen who inspired it. Think about her struggles, her triumphs, and her rather unfortunate taste in religious policy. And hey, maybe even raise a toast to her. After all, she was the first Queen Regnant of England, a trailblazer who paved the way for other powerful women like Elizabeth I and, well, Beyoncé. Okay, maybe not exactly the same, but you get the idea. Mary's story, despite its tragic elements, is a testament to the power of perseverance, the complexities of faith, and the enduring legacy of a nickname that just won't quit. As we sip our metaphorical cocktails, or real ones, no judgment here, let's remember that history is more than just dates and battles and monarchs with catchy nicknames. It's the story of us, of humanity in all its messy, complicated glory. And Mary, despite her flaws and the rather unfortunate way she's been remembered, is a part of that story. So, cheers to you, Mary Anne, Queen of England, defender of the faith, and reluctant cocktail muse. We may never fully understand you, but we'll try to appreciate you, tomato juice stains and all. And with that, let's all raise a glass, or a celery stalk, to history, to humour, and to the enduring power of a good story, even if it involves a few pyres along the way.